This person had a rewards credit card. They paid it off every single month, never paid a penny in interest, and still decided to stop using it. And when they sat down and actually ran the numbers, it turned out that the card that they thought was making them money was quietly costing them more than they ever realised. Today, we're going to talk about the psychology behind that and why the most boring financial decision is sometimes the smartest one you can make. Welcome back to Money Threads UK. Every week I find a real post from the UK personal finance subreddit and we break it all the way down together. Real people, real money, no jargon, no judgment. I'm Charlie, let's get into it. This week's post came from the UK personal finance subreddit and it caught my attention because it's about something almost everyone with a credit card has thought about. Here's the situation. The person had a rewards credit card, the kind that gives you points, cashback, air miles, whatever the incentive is, and they were using it for everything: groceries, petrol, bills, day-to-day spending. They always paid it off in full every month, so debt was never the issue. On paper, they were doing it right. And then they noticed something. Every single month, they were spending just a little bit more than they felt they should be. Nothing dramatic, not reckless, just a little bit more than planned. And they started to wonder whether the card itself had something to do with it. So they sat down and actually did the maths. And what they found was this: the extra unnecessary purchases they were making each month, the ones that somehow crept in when paying by card felt so frictionless, were actually wiping out the value of the reward points entirely, and then some. So they made a change. They stopped using the credit card for everyday spending. They kept it, but only for large purchases, specifically to keep something called Section 75 protection, which we're absolutely going to talk about. And for everything else, they switched to a Starling or Monzo debit card. And here's what they noticed almost immediately: seeing their bank balance go down in real time. That instant notification every time they spent made them naturally want to spend less. They ended the post by asking, is this a good strategy? The honest answer is yes, and I want to tell you exactly why. Let's start with the rewards card itself, because I think there's a really important conversation that doesn't happen enough around these. Rewards cards are marketed as free money. Spend on this card, get points. Points become cash back, or flights, or vouchers. Sounds like a no-brainer, right? But here's what the marketing doesn't tell you. Card companies are not giving away free money out of the goodness of their hearts. They know, and I mean they have decades of data on this, that people spend more when they pay by card than when they pay by cash or debit. That's not a theory. It's been studied extensively. The act of tapping a card or phone to pay removes almost all of the psychological friction from a purchase. There's no physical exchange, no watching notes leave your hand, no feeling of loss. And rewards cards take that one step further, because now spending doesn't just feel painless. It actually feels like you're gaining something. Every purchase feels like a small win. And that feeling, that little dopamine hit of points ticking up on your app, there is something deeply unhinged about spending £40 on the supermarket shop and feeling like you've won. You haven't won, you've bought pasta. And that feeling is worth far more to those companies than whatever cash back they're giving you. Because let's be clear, these are billion-pound financial institutions. They are not doing you a favour. They are not your friend. They're very good data scientists. And those data scientists did not go to university so that you could get a free airport lounge visit. This person figured out the hard way, and then they did something most people never do. They actually checked the numbers. That alone puts them ahead of the majority of credit card holders in the UK. Point 2. The psychology of spending is real. Now, what they discovered when they've switched to Monzo and Starling, that's not just a personal quirk, that's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. It's called the pain of paying, the idea that spending money, when it's made tangible, visible, and immediate, it actually triggers a mild form of discomfort, and that discomfort acts as a natural brake on spending. Cash produces the most pain of paying. Watching physical notes leave your hand is the most visceral version of it. Nobody has ever stood at a market stall, handed over three £20 notes and thought, this feels fine. You feel every single one of those leaving your hand, and that's the point. But what Monzo and Starling have done brilliantly is recreate that feeling digitally. The instant notification, the balance updating in real time, the spending graph that shows you exactly where the money went. It's not perfect, but it's a lot closer to the cash experience than a traditional bank account or credit card. And this person felt it immediately. Seeing the balance go down made them want to spend less. That's not weakness. That's just how human psychology works. And building your financial systems around human psychology rather than fighting against it is one of the smartest things you can do. Point 3. The Section 75 move is underrated. Now, I want to make sure we talk about the decision to keep the credit card for large purchases, because this part of the post is genuinely clever, and it's something a lot of people in the UK don't fully understand. Section 75 of the Consumer Credit Act. Here's what it means in plain English. If you buy something on a credit card, anything between £100 and £30,000, and something goes wrong, the credit card company is jointly liable with the retailer, not just the retailer, the credit card company too. So if your holiday company goes bust, if your laptop arrives broken and the seller disappears, if a contractor takes your money and doesn't do the work, you can go to your credit card company and claim a refund. It is a legal right, not a discretionary goodwill gesture, a legal right. Now compare that to a debit card. Debit cards have something called chargeback, which sounds similar but is very different. Chargeback is a process run by Visa or MasterCard, and it's discretionary. They can say no, it's not backed by the law in the same way. So what this person has done is actually really savvy. They've removed the card from their day-to-day life, where it was costing them money through overspending, but kept it available for bigger purchases, where the Section 75 protection is genuinely valuable. That is not a compromise, that's a strategy. Point 4. Is good enough actually good enough? There's one more thing in this post I want to address, and it's something I think about a lot in the personal finance space. The poster said, and I'm paraphrasing, "I know I could optimise things more closely, but I prefer simplicity. As long as I'm meeting my investment goals and have no debt, I'm fine with not optimising every last penny." I want to say something about that. That is a mature financial philosophy. The personal finance world, the blogs, the subreddits, the YouTube channels, can sometimes feel like a competition to see who can squeeze the most out of every single pound. The best interest rate, the best cashback card, the best switching bonus, the best deal. And look, I get it, that stuff adds up, but there's a real cost to constant optimization that doesn't show up in a spreadsheet, and that's mental load, decision fatigue, time, the hours spent researching the best card, switching banks, tracking points. That's time and energy that could go elsewhere. And if the strategy you're running is simple enough that you'll actually stick to it, that you won't make impulsive decisions or lose track of what you're doing, that simplicity has a genuine financial value. The best financial plan is the one you follow, not the theoretically perfect one that you abandon in month 3. So, is it a good strategy? Yes, genuinely yes. Not because rewards cards are bad for everyone, some people use them brilliantly, but because this person did something that the vast majority of credit card holders never do. They actually checked whether their strategy was working. They looked at the real numbers, not the points balance. The actual spending, it wasn't working, so they changed it and they've landed somewhere simple. Monzo for daily spending, card for big purchases. That aligns with how their brain actually works. That is good personal finance. Not perfect on paper, but good in practice. And in the long run, good in practice wins every time. Before I go, here is your one thing to take away from this. When did you actually last check whether something you're doing financially is still working? Not assumed, not guessed, actually checked. Because a lot of us have financial habits that we set up at some point and never revisited. A card we signed up for because of a welcome bonus. A savings account we opened years ago that's probably paying a terrible rate now. A standing order going somewhere we can barely remember setting up. Pick one this week and check it. You might find it's still working perfectly. Or you might find what this person found, that what felt like a smart move has quietly been costing you money. Either way, you'll know. And knowing is always better than assuming. I want to hear from you in the comments this week. Rewards card or debit card for daily spending? And if you use a rewards card, have you actually checked whether it's working for you? Drop it below. I'll read every single one and I always reply. If you're new here, this is Money Threads UK. Every week, a real post, a real breakdown, and something genuinely useful you can take away. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'm Charlie, and I'll see you next week.